So you were talking about real world versus academia. So in terms of the community service component, there's a lot of alternatives, and we don't really have a requirement in Tracy Unified for that. So where are we at with Mountain House?
So we're looking to, again, it's not board approved yet. In part of our graduation requirements, we're looking to put a community service component in it. But we're also looking to incorporate service learning throughout the curriculum. So that this isn't something kids are worrying about getting by the end of their 4 years in high school.
They won't do it if they're not required to do it sometimes.
Okay, but when service learning is incorporated into your social studies class and your English class and your science class and your music class, then providing service to the community is not going to be an issue. We're not going to be running around chasing kids going, did you do your 40 or 50 hours of service over the 4 years? It's something that will also be, we're also looking to implement an advisory period where we're not sure how many days a week, but where all students will have one teacher that follow them all 4 of their years, that is checking in with them on a regular basis. What are you doing? How are you doing? A way to communicate to students in the classroom on a regular basis as to what's going on in your program. And then making sure that we have a coordinated counseling plan and making sure that we're following the standards for counseling in the state of California and nationally, and making sure that we're hitting all of those students' needs, whatever they are, because they're going to run the gamut from, I just want to graduate high school, to I need to go to Oxford. And I come from an environment like that. Many of you may not know. I came from Pleasanton, Amador Valley High School. It's one of the top schools in the nation, and I'm used to understanding the demands of the very, very high students. We have, a good percentage of our students from Pleasanton going to Ivy League schools, and then we have a group of students who are going to, into careers, and that's great. And we have opportunities for them to become certified as early childhood educators while they're in school, food certifications. All kinds of different certifications so that they're ready for that. So we need to create a comprehensive program for all of us. I had a hand outside the door here and then over here. So back here and then you. Okay.
2 more questions.
Yeah.
What's the classroom size going to be for our students to teach?
We haven't talked about that yet, but Kush, you want to?
As of right now, for our K contract is 32. So most probably it will be something similar, but we don't have that established.
And then with that, is there going to be TAs with that, or just one professor or one teacher to 32 students?
That's what we have right now. 4th grade, walk-in, 4th grade classroom, 5th grade classroom, that's what we have right now.
The second question is, as far as like music or art or classes like that, is that going to be offered?
Yes, they will be offered. Band, choir, orchestra, art, digital art, photography, blah, blah, blah. Yes?
Are you going to have some kind of a network program where we can monitor the children's attendance?
Yes. Yes. Kimball uses Aries.
Yeah, right.
They're using the same.
Okay.
All of our teachers will be required to use the Aries gradebook as well, and we're going to establish a pattern of teachers having to post on a regular basis, so you can go in and check grades, attendance, all that.
One more thing. As far as the, let's say, maybe they like to take like IT technology.
Electives and stuff like that.
Electives, we're going to have something for computers.
Yes. Yeah, business, yeah, IT, computer science, all those kinds of things, yes. Planning on that. Media productions, etc. Okay, going back over here and then here.
I used to go to Pleasanton, I grew up in Pleasanton, and back in the day when I went to school, they had really good guidance counselors on campus. Are we going to have guidance counselors?
Yes, we will have counselors. I'm not sure what the ratio will be yet, but we will have counselors and we will have a coordinated counseling plan to make sure every student knows what they need to take to get where they want to go.
One more question.
Yeah.
Out of all the electives, will you have a peer counseling elective for the kids to take, or?
I haven't thought of that.
I think that'd be a good idea.
Okay.
What's peer counseling?
Before you leave. Peer counseling, yeah, I've done that at the elementary school, actually, conflict managers, where you teach students to manage conflict. It has to be part of our discipline policy because I don't do the punitive discipline. I like to do restorative justice, making sure kids understand the consequences of their actions and making sure they don't do it again, not just hitting their hand and then hitting it again when they do it again.
Right.
It doesn't work.
Special ed?
Of course. Special education is a priority to me. I I like to say that I'm very well versed in special education, and basically it comes down to we need to make sure that we give the child opportunities who has learning disabilities or learning troubles, that they have the opportunity as much as possible to take mainstream classes and have the accommodations and modifications that they need in that classroom to be successful. Yeah. Yes.
I knew that this is a subject that you covered earlier in
Oh.
regards to the compositions of your staff.
Right.
I made a comment made earlier about elective,
Yes.
to the point the gentleman back there mentioned about being a teacher, traditional teacher, gone through college and then come out and start teaching.
Right.
From the standpoint of elective, as a parent, I think, and also as a professional, I think that having someone who has gone through a professional skill, for example,
Right.
computer science, to be teaching the course
Right.
would have, in my mind, a more up-to-date knowledge rather than someone who just been teaching and
Right.
teaches subject matter.
Typically, teachers in those areas, though, are people from industry. They don't usually just go to school and get their IT teacher certification. I don't think I've ever met anybody who was not in the industry who then became a teacher to teach kids IT. So yes, in those cases, I think that we would be looking for somebody with real-world experience. I'm a music teacher. I went through school and wasn't a professional musician, but I was able to go in and do a pretty good job being a music teacher, and I was not in the industry. But I agree with that in that respect, that we need to make sure that we look at the topic that's being taught, and if they have just gone to school and got their teacher certification, what kind of real-world experience that they have that they can give to the students to be successful. We can come back to you, Jim.
Good questions, I actually want to cut out. I heard a lot about online teaching, tablets, computer labs, and all of that stuff. So what kind of internet backbone are we going to have? And is there going to be campus-wide Wi-Fi?
Yes.
Yes. And then that's not...
The county is upgrading to a 10 gig network,
Okay, so that's that.
which is nice.
Good. So is there a lot of experience out there in having the kids that connected and the pitfalls that might come with that, the sort of cheating and passing notes during class? Do we have something to draw on? Do you come from an environment like that, or is this all kind of leading edge?
No, it's not just leading edge. I have contacts at other schools. There's a school called Minarets High School who opened up as a high-tech high school outside of Fresno that I'm consulting with them on their online program. There's a school back east that I'm consulting with in Pennsylvania who has implemented a program like that. It is a little more cutting edge than the rest. I'll just give you my own personal opinion, is that as long as we put the right, I don't think we ought to treat our kids like you're all cheaters. And we all live in the digital world,
Sure.
and we need to teach our kids to be able to live that way too. And there are ways that we can teach them to be good digital citizens and then make sure that we have checks and balances on the other end to ensure that they're not duping us on the other end.
For instance, my phone has the ability to create a Wi-Fi connection. Like I could be sitting here and I could be on my tablet and have my own connection.
Right.
So I'm wondering if the school so you're talking about the school issuing tablets and Chromebooks?
Possibly.
And if that's the case, then it would be tied exclusively,
Well, when they're on our Wi-Fi network, they're under our auspices. They can't access things.
but then when they're at home, you'd want them to be able to use it, and they'd be presumably using an external Wi-Fi.
Right.
So
parents need to know what their kids are doing. I can't control your kids at home.
the concern is that because smartphones are going to become more prevalent, that
You know,
if they're going to bring their Wi-Fi with them,
Yeah.
that's the only thing.
Right. Well, and kids did bad stuff before there were computers. So I don't run on a model of every kid is bad, and I'm going to make sure I put rules in place that not just make sure they don't do these things, but totally stop everyone else from using them as well. we live in a digital age. You tell our kids not to bring phones to school and not to use them. Why? They're tools that can be used for learning. And if we do it in the right way and we teach them the appropriate ways to use it, then we're going to all be better off. You know, we're going to be the ones teaching digital citizenship. If we're going to be a high-tech high school, we've got to teach our kids. This is the expectation. Here are the consequences if you don't follow those. And then follow up with the consequences as we move forward. So I like to give a little. I have a reason to believe that a lot of times our schools are just stifling the creativity of innovation in these students. If you ever have a book you want to read Creating Innovators. Great book by Tony Wagner. It's all that he goes out and interviews some of the most successful people in the world, and then he interviews their parents and their teachers. And he talks to them about what did you people do to ensure that this student was an innovator. And 9 times out of 10 it was, I gave them the freedom to do it. I said, go ahead and sit and code for hours in the evening. That's where we get Bill Gates. Go ahead and, you know, create. We need to be creating innovators in our schools because your kids are all going to go out into a work environment that we don't even know what they're going to be doing. None of you know what your kids are going to be doing. There are jobs out there that haven't even been thought of yet. And in 5 years from now, there's going to be so many different things for them to do that if we don't create innovative thinkers on our campuses, they will not survive. And so we're going to give a little. We're going to have a little bit of rules and controls around that, and then we're going to make sure that they can be successful. So we have about 2 more minutes, so I'll take a couple more questions.
Sure, okay. What's the GPA minimum to participate?
I think there's a league rule, and I'm sorry, I don't know that, but I can find out for you.
I think the league is 2.0.
Yeah.
No.
And no Fs, yeah. That's pretty standard. I'm going to go here and then here.
Could you give us some insight into, I know you heard a lot of questions about the quality of faculty that you're going to be recruiting. Can you give us some insight into how are you able to attract good talent to become a teacher?
We've spent a lot of time thinking about that. The unique problem that we have is that we will be advertising for teaching positions totally at a different time than normally you would. Teachers right now are sitting in their classrooms teaching, and if they're going to change jobs, they're going to start looking in April, May. So we have already started our own networking social media campaign. I can let you know right now, and I think we must have posted it somewhere, that said, you know, we have posted for the Big Four, the department chairs of English, Science, Math, and Social Studies. And we're looking for innovative educators. And these people will be hired like next month, but they won't become full-time. They will be consulting with us to write our course outlines to get started at the beginning of the year. So they'll be paid hourly while they're working in their current positions, and then at the end of the year will become our department chairs. And they will also be helping us to hire other innovative teachers. So we are using social media, we're going through the print media, we're going through our own networks. If you can go through your own networks, when people hear about what's going on here and the opportunity, again, we are not like another district that's opening a high school because we have never had one. So we get to kind of write the rules. And I need your help to tell me what it is you want in your school for your kids so that we can create the kind of program that teachers want to come to. Our students are good, that's the other thing. People hear about Mountain House, and when they see our API score for our district, they go, I want to go there, because this is obviously where it's at. And we're going to keep that high, we're going to keep going with our students and offering them advanced courses so that teachers want to come teach with us. We're also offering up to 12 years of experience so they can bring it with them on the salary scale, which is pretty unheard of. That's a lot of years. And we have a pretty generous benefit package as well in the district. So we're trying our best.
I'm sorry. How do you attract those people who's from the Bay Area to come over here since the pay scale is so much lower compared to Alameda?
You tell them in Alameda you don't get benefits, and here you do, so it makes a difference. We've already attracted a couple of people from the Bay Area who are like, oh, I came from a Bay Area district that pays very well. But I came here and realized that with the savings I was making on, everything else, and the commute, and my secretary lives in Pleasanton, I stole her. And she told me today that she was commuting to work to Walnut Creek, and she said her commute is 15 minutes less now coming from Pleasanton to here. So there's a lot of things. Really, we have always been a community here in Mountain House who pull together and we get the word out, right? So part of it's going to be on you. You guys need to go out there and you say, there are awesome things going on here. There's an awesome principal. He's really nice. And you really want to work for him. So if you get that word out to all of the people that you never know who in your social network is a teacher. Some of you know people and you may not know that they're a teacher. Send it out, or they may know a teacher. Put it up on your Facebook page. Just say, went to a meeting tonight. We're going to have an awesome school. Join it. So that's part of it.
For the computer lab, will you be having Microsoft or Apple?
I think that
Big question.
You know what? We can't have an environment where we just do one. You can't just do one. We need to all have our students be proficient in every platform possible, right? Maybe we'll have some Linux machines on campus. So we need to make sure that the technology that we have on campus matches what kids are going to be encountering when they leave school. So you want my personal opinion? This is just between you and me. I like a desktop to be a PC, and I like a laptop to be a Mac. Because PCs, I love the desktop. Mac, they're just prettier and they work faster. So other than that, I think both platforms are valuable and we should all know how to use both, because there's nothing like sitting down and trying to help somebody who goes, well, I'm not a Mac person. I only do PC. Well, you can't be that anymore. So, yeah. Okay, if you have individual questions, I don't want to keep you here because we've had an hour. I like to keep them at that. If you have individual questions, you can come and ask me. Please, if you have ideas that we haven't talked about or you want to make sure I remember them, there's pens up here. There's some areas over there. If you want to add an area here to those sheets, go ahead and add that to there, and we will try our best to get that into our plans. And our next meeting, sorry, where's my paper that I just folded up all over the place? Our next meeting is September, and we'll Facebook it too. September 24th, same time, same place. And it's going to be about student and parent involvement, like same leadership, place. Same place, same that place, same that. Well, maybe we did there. Yeah. Okay, I hear you. We're going to talk about associated student body, which is leadership, parent-teacher organizations. We need, if there's people in here, come up to me. We need a boosters club, which is a nonprofit organization that can support us, and we need for athletics and for music. So if any of you have those kinds of skills, we're looking for you. Okay? Thank you so much for coming. Thank you. Yeah, I'll post the slides on Facebook.
I wanna run through the halls of my high school. I wanna scream at the top of my lungs. And I just found out there's no such thing as a real world. To slide, you got to rise above. And I just can't wait for my 10-year reunion. I'm gonna bust down the double doors. And when I stand on these tables,